Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hello, hello. I have 3 out the door. I'm waiting on one more. How is everyone? I am doing good. I have a jam-packed day, but I have a physical today, which I'm not sure how often y'all are getting your yearly physicals in, but I think for me it's been probably 5 years and it's time. So I'm going to get that done today. My only medical care for the last 4 years has been OB because I've had 2 babies. So that's the only thing I went to the doctor for is babies, which I think is pretty common for moms. And it shouldn't be. Like, we need to normalize and make time. Hey, Chelsea, to get those appointments done. Like, that includes the dentist and all those important things. I'm only 38, so I haven't had a mammogram yet, but that as well. Make your appointments. You're no good to anyone if you're not alive. So, soapbox. So yeah, I'm going in today to get a physical and hopefully find out I'm good for 10,000 more miles. Let's hope. Let's hope. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Trina. I'm actually going in because someone pointed out that they like saw a lump on my body. And it like really made me anxious and really made me uncomfortable and sad and scared. And so I'm going to the doctor. I mean, it can't hurt, right? Like, it can't hurt to go in. I'm pretty sure it's nothing, but it made me really anxious. So, yeah, I did. Oh, hi, Lisa. Awesome. Great. I did a speech last night. I went to my friend Brianne's MOPS group, which it's a mama group, and I went and I did hey, Amy Motherly. I did a speech all about how to be a good friend to a parent who has a special needs child. And it was really interesting as I was like, oh, where's my notes? As I was like going through it, because these were all amazing moms. None of them had special needs children as their children, except for the one member who invited me to come speak. So it was like I was talking to this, group of people, and they were so eager to know how to be a good friend. I think that's something that's so important to all of us, right? Like, how do we support people? How do we support someone when they're going through caring for a parent or an Alzheimer's diagnosis or a cancer diagnosis? Like, how do we support people? And we don't know if we're not in it, right? I had someone that I know pass from cancer, and I had never had that, so I didn't know how to be the best person. Like, do I send food? Do I send flowers? What do I do? And I think when we know more, we do more, right? We can do better. So I'm going to tell you my 10 tips for being a good friend, which I think a lot of you would love to know. And I will write this up as a post too. So if you want to share it with just share it on your Facebook feed. Give me a little while. I'll type it up later. You can share it. And it's kind of a nice, just reminder. Someone asked if my book was out yet. No, it's April 5th, but I have a launch team. So 150 people got a free early digital download of my book, and they are reading it, and they started yesterday. And oh my gosh, it was, scary, exciting, fun, anxiety ridden, and I have a launch Facebook page, so I was able to see all of their comments as they're reading, and it's that song, Let's Skip to the Good Part. I feel like we're there. Yay. So, before I tell you the 10 things, hi Tammy from South Dakota. I'm going to read you the excerpt I read last night about friendship, and then I'm going to cover the 10 things. So, I need to go to page 198. So settle in. I'm going to read a few pages to you. And if you love it, grab it on Amazon. I have spoken about the isolation that comes with special needs parenting, the silent killer of many families. Usually, I'm referring to physical isolation, being locked in your home with the curtains closed. My girlfriend Jess refers to her house as a tomb, some days wondering if she will ever make it out alive. That's Jess plus the mess, by the way. If you follow her, she's amazing. But there's another kind of isolation that can happen in a crowded room with girlfriends or over drinks with coworkers. It's the isolation of realizing you no longer fit in where you once did. Some women claim they were abandoned by friends after the diagnosis came. It wasn't necessarily like that for me. When Cooper was born, I had a very tight-knit group of friends, many whom I had known since elementary school. And a twist of fate, many of us had babies at the same time. I believe, deep down, I pushed people away because it was just too hard to accept that our babies weren't going to grow up together. I'm going to skip that part. Before I became a mother, my friends and I were all the same, nothing differentiating us. We graduated, went to college, got married, and got pregnant on all on the same timeline. But within weeks of our babies being born, the differences started appearing. My baby didn't sleep. Theirs did. Mine never stopped crying. Their children cooed and smiled. Mine was chronically ill with ear infections. I never slept. They started going back to their pre-baby lives. I never did. I started to slip away, subtly at first. We still frequently got together, but instead of hitting the bars like we did pre-kids, we would get together with kids in tow. The shots turned to a glass or two of wine, and somewhat early to bed, knowing that our children would be up early. I have so many memories of staying at friends' houses, their kids sleeping, when my son cried all night, often keeping others awake. The morning would come, and I would lie, saying we slept great, ashamed to say what really happened. Then the differences really started to show in my child. He was no longer just a bad sleeper or a difficult baby. This was more serious. The differences between our children hung in the air while our babies sat by side on a blanket or crawled around the house. There was no pretending anymore. We could talk at length about how Cooper was not autistic. We would trade stories of other mothers we knew who went through the same thing, and it turned out to be fine. They were fine. I was going to be fine. This was all going to be fine. But we were wrong. It was autism, and I was completely unaware of the hurricane that would soon consume my life. My life quickly became doctors, therapies, and IEPs. I couldn't relate to my friends anymore, and they most definitely couldn't relate to me. It was like I was in a movie. I watched myself turn invisible in a crowded room full of women I went to high school with. I felt out of place. I felt irrelevant. But most of all, I felt jealous, which could not have been more conflicting because I loved their babies like my own. But I didn't understand. And as time went on and their children met milestones, said first words, and learned to use the toilet, I withdrew. I stopped calling. That is the blatant truth. I won't dance around it. I didn't know how to be a good friend anymore. I ignored calls and texts. I stopped committing to plans because I knew I would just have to cancel. My world became doctor's offices, therapy appointments, and autism. I once heard through the grapevine that a so-called friend said I gave up on life. I don't look at it that way. I saw it as committing to my son. The weight of Cooper's disability rested solely on my shoulders, and it was bigger than me. And so I had to say goodbye to some of the people and things that mattered to me, right or wrong. I didn't know how to live in both worlds, yet. I want to apologize to my friends that I unintentionally pushed away. It wasn't you, it was me. It just got to be too hard. By walking away, I let you off the hook in a way. Thankfully, no amount of pushing worked for many of you. You stuck around. You understood that I was struggling. You kept calling and texting and offering invites. You will never know how much that meant to me. I look at your kids on Facebook from time to time, celebrating their success from hours away, from a different world, really. I don't want you to ever downplay your child's victories for me. I just ask for compassion if I have to pull away from small. But I know what the future holds. I know because I've immersed myself in it. And right now, I can't imagine the pain I will feel watching your babies holding their driver's license for the first time, getting dressed up for prom, and signing college acceptance papers. Give me time. I will always be a cheerleader for you and your kids, but I need grace. It's so hard to navigate this world and to fit in. Please celebrate our successes too, like the first time he put his own shoes on or buckled his seatbelt many years after he should have. To me, that was our college diploma. I've never claimed to do any of this right. In fact, I know I've made a lot of mistakes. I pushed and I pulled, but I've learned a lot too. The good people in your life will stick around. They will never leave. I am so thankful for the new friends too, ones who walk the same road as me daily. Women I send midnight texts to, who show up with coffee, who I don't have to pretend to be okay with. And sometimes, the kindest gestures from strangers, people we don't know at all, but who recognize themselves in us. The bond of special needs parenting tying us together. So, that's it. I mean, that is the raw version of it. That is the reality of it. It is the truth. I think so often I've made a lot of mistakes and in everything I've done. Still do. And that includes friendships and relationships and marriage and mothering. And I think saying these things out loud is really freeing and good to do. So let me cover my 10 things. Okay. So these are the 10 tips. So, and I will type this up if you want. I can share this after. And then you can share it if you want to, or you can share this video too, but here are the 10 things that I needed from a friend when my son was diagnosed with autism. Number 1, I needed someone to listen to me. Just listen, no more. I think so often as people, we want to fix the problem, and this couldn't be fixed. Let me sit in it and don't rush me. That is my number 1 thing. In my marriage, my husband is the fixer. And, even today, if I complain about something, he wanted to fix it. And that's a very, a common thing. It's common with friends too. And, I would talk about my worries. I would say, he's not talking or he's not sleeping, or I know something is going on. And it was like people were trying to rush me through it. Like even when Cooper was diagnosed, like they were trying to rush me through to get through the hard and the worry and the scary and the angry and all the emotions. And I needed to just sit for a little bit. I needed to sit on the floor and I needed to cry. And I felt like, honestly, I didn't have that. And that's no one's fault, but I think they didn't know what I needed. And if you can be that person to someone, if you can just sit with them, whatever they're going through, a dying parent, a divorce, just sit with them. It's the simplest gesture you can ever do. And let them talk and cry. Number 2, I wanted to be included so bad, even if we couldn't come. And I think that's a really important one. I can remember the first event that my friends all went to where we weren't invited. And it was an event that Cooper couldn't go to. It was Disney on Ice, and he would have never been able to do it. Still to this day. Too hard. Sitting, loud, and lines, all the things. And I remember opening up my phone. I always say that. Isn't that funny? Like back, like I had a flip phone. I remember turning on my phone and seeing on Facebook all my friends' kids at this event, and we weren't there. And I remember I was heartbroken. And then I was like, you're being silly. Like, you wouldn't have been able to go anyways. But here's what I want you to know. The person that has the child diagnosed with something, they're going through a lot. And their world is changing really fast, overnight sometimes. And things, it's almost like things are turning off, like the places they could go and the things. That's how it was for us. Like one day we could go to the park safely and the next day we couldn't. One day we could ride in the car safely and the next day we couldn't. Keep inviting them. Please invite them. It will mean so much to them. They won't feel burdened by your invite. They'll know that you still value them and their child. Number 2, keep inviting them. Number 3, allow us to host. This is a really huge one that took me and my family and Jamie's family a long time to figure out. Cooper can do so much more when we're in the comfort of our home. We know it's safe here. He can have his own space to go hide out. It's the doors are locked and we know the Wi-Fi password and there's no mysteries in our home, right? When we go places, it's really hard. Even to this day, Cooper's made huge gains. He's awesome, but it's still hard for him. It would take me a lot of encouragement to go to a new friend's house just because Snoopy Joe will go in your bed and he'll roll around. He'll go in your drawers. He's a snooper. Cooper Snooper. He doesn't really understand closed doors. In fact, if there's a door closed, he's going to want to open it. It's going to make him very stressed out. And he will go in your bathroom when you're in it. And he's seen friends showering and friends going to the bathroom and lots of different things. And it sounds like a simple thing, right? Let us host. It's not, because there's a lot of family dynamics where someone always hosts Christmas and someone always hosts Thanksgiving. Well, we can't come then. And that was hard for our family. I'm going to be perfectly honest about that, and caused a lot of fights and a lot of angst and a lot of, because this is the way it's always been done. And there's things that still aren't better in our family, certain events. So work on that. Say what you need. And if they won't bend and you still want to go and you want to try, then you type up your 15 questions. What's your Wi-Fi password? Are your doors locked? Are you on a busy street? Do you have a fence? Do you have a dog? Is there a place that your child can go and have a quiet space? Can you lock your bedroom door? You type those things up and you share them. I think that's perfectly fine. I've done that before. Ask. Number 4. Don't stop texting and calling them. Okay? Know that they may not text you back. When I was in my hardest time, my lowest point, where everything I did was calling the doctor and the school and IEPs and fighting for services, and the insurance company wouldn't pay this bill. And when we were in the true thick of it, I'd have 75 text messages. I'd have 13 voicemails. And I wouldn't return them. I wouldn't. But when I finally dug out, seeing a text from a friend, you know who does that to me? Courtney Bryan, Jenny Campos, Rachel Flanagan, Jennifer Dunn, Amanda DeLuca. These are friends of mine, and there's a lot more if I forgot someone, that will send me messages that'll say, just checking in. Or I'll text someone and say, welfare check, just checking in. It means a lot to people. And it's a really simple gesture. And I'm sure if they're like me, they'll come back and they'll say a year later, 6 months later, I wasn't the best friend. I wasn't very good. But thank you for sticking by me. Keep calling, keep texting, okay? Number 5. educate yourself a little bit about your friend's or child's diagnosis or your sister's child's diagnosis. And I don't mean that you have to be an expert in autism or ADHD or emotional disturbance, whatever it may be. It means so much. And that can be as simple as like reading a blog post, watching Parenthood. I know that's a great show, by the way. Following Finding Cooper's Voice, getting my book. Oh my gosh, this is the easiest read, and it will give you the more information, not clinical, more emotional about the life of autism than you will ever imagine. You will understand so much. So do that. Just take some time to get to know what your friend's going through. And it's really simple. Like, it's a really easy thing. And it means a lot to the person because it normalizes our life and it reminds us that our kids matter to you. And that's awesome. That's so great. Number 6. This is a really hard one, and I think it's important. And I touched on this in the thing that I read. Know that your friend loves your child. I love my friends' kids. I am their biggest cheerleaders. I love that they get to go to Disney, and I love that they get to travel. I love that they get to do all these things. We can't. And that hurts sometimes. And that you can be so far in acceptance and still feel a little envious when you can't do things. Know that don't ever, and here's a sentence I want to say, don't ever downplay your child's success or your family's success for me or your friend or ever. Alexandra, yep, it's on your Amazon. You can order it on your Amazon. So if your friend, if your child gets into Harvard, oh my gosh, celebrate it. Shout it from the rooftops, and I will be there with a Harvard sign saying, yeah. If your child gets into tech school, when your child gets their license, when they go to prom, when they get their first job, I am there for it. There may be times when I have to step back. Sue, I think, so I don't know if it's available in Australia yet. I think it is. Check your Amazon, Forever Boy Kate Swenson. And if it's not, I do know someone from Australia that ordered it and they paid the shipping and it was $8, which I don't know if that's possible. I don't know for you, but so that's one option. But celebrate your children's success. I am going to celebrate with you, but I know many parents who have children who are 16 and 21 and say that it's some envious, sad times. And it's okay to say that. Number 7, this is really, really, really important. And I think it's really important. And this would mean so much to me. Ask about my child. Don't stop asking. Not ever. I have a friend, I have someone in my life who we would talk, and it got to the point where they stopped asking about Cooper. They're not a bad friend. They're not a bad person. They would ask about Sawyer and Harbor and my job and my marriage, and Cooper wouldn't come up. And one time, after probably a little bit too much to drink, I burst out sobbing, and I said, why don't you ask about Cooper? Why? And she said it just got to be too sad for her. That my sadness made her sad. And she couldn't do it. And that's an important lesson, that there are people in your life that you love more than anything, that are wonderful people that just can't handle your child's diagnosis. It's an important lesson. And when you learn that, it's very freeing. So please ask, please ask, and know that I want to talk about him. I don't have 3 kids and an autistic kid. I have 4 children. I have Cooper, Sawyer, Harbor, and Winnie, and they are all awesome, and they're all wild monsters. And I want to tell you all the naughty things they do and all the wonderful things they do. just because there's no differentiating for me. So please know that. Always ask. And I don't want to ever compare these, so I'm not comparing these two things. But I remember I had a friend, an acquaintance who lost, hey Jody. Yes, Deidre, yay, Australia it is. I had a acquaintance who lost a baby. And I remember her saying to me, I would get so sad because people stopped asking about my child who is in heaven. And again, no way in comparing the two, but it's like when we have hard things in our lives, I think sometimes people don't want to ask because they don't want to upset us. Ask about Cooper. Ask about their childhood. And this goes right into number 8. Celebrate his successes too. So this is a really, really important one. I remember when Cooper started doing things and I would share them on Facebook. One was the first time he drank from a glass. He has very severe apraxia, so his mouth doesn't work very well, and it's hard for him. Oh, a fuzz. So like he would drink and the water would drip and it would be really hard. And I remember the first time he drank from a cup, and I was like, I shared the video like on my personal Facebook. I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. Ever. And it was like crickets. Like, I think like my mom liked it. Because I want to tell you the flip side. When our kids do things 10 years late or 15 years late or 20 years late, people are like, well, is it a sad thing that it took 10 years for him to drink from a cup, or is it a good thing? It's a good thing. It's an amazing thing. We are so proud. We work so hard for these milestones. We're shouting it from the rooftops. So, celebrate our kids' successes too. Know that they are working so hard, just as hard as your kids. So, as hard as your child worked to make the AAA hockey team, Cooper worked just as many hours to say a lot of hours. So please celebrate them too, and shift your mindset if you can. I like to always tell things that I've made mistakes over. I remember when Cooper was first diagnosed and looking at older children and being like, they started talking at 12. Like, is that a good thing? I mean, obviously it's a good thing, but are they sad that it took 12 years? I remember being like really anxious about it. Oh, good grief. Celebrate. Crystal. Yes, we used to do that too. That's funny. We used to celebrate that too. Number 9. This is a really important one. And this is going to sound really simple again too. Come sit with us. Like physically sit with us. Physically be here. Your special needs parenting friends are often really isolated. They may not share that with you, but spoiler alert, they're isolated. It's hard for them to go to the parks and to the grocery stores and they're isolated. And they do that for the safety of their child. They do that for the ease to make their family life easier. Lots of things. They're spending a lot of time alone. And that gets really lonely. And they're watching life happen on their iPhone and out the window. I have a lot of parts of my book where I watch Sawyer playing outside the window, and I couldn't go outside because it wasn't safe for Cooper because he'd spent every second he could darting to the road. So until we got a fence, we couldn't go out there. This was a short time of life. But I remember watching Sawyer and being like, hi buddy. Hi, pal. And just come sit with us. We don't need to do anything special. Heck, I might take a shower. I may do my laundry while you're here. Come watch TV. Come just be here. Don't think you're imposing. I hear this all the time. It's like human nature to be like, you're so busy. You have 4 kids. So I won't bother you. And it's like, oh no, come bother us. Come sit here. Let's just be here, and it would mean so much to that person. They may even say no. So if you called your friend right now or text them and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going by Starbucks. Can I grab a coffee and drop it off for you? And they may be like, oh no, that's okay. And be like, I'm pretty sure you like a venti cold brew. I'm gonna just drop it off. I'll just leave it on your porch. You know, something like that is really nice and really kind and really goes a long way. Just come sit with us. It would mean a lot. And the last one, I actually have two more because I crossed out one of them. One of them is know that this is lifelong. So Cooper will be autistic for his whole entire life. And he's going to continue to thrive and grow and learn new skills. But our life is still going to look different than your life. Meaning, we have plans that Cooper's going to live with us. That's our plan. And other people have different plans, but that's what Cooper's going to do. And we're going to really work on flying on an airplane, and we're going to really work on going to restaurants, and we're going to really work on getting him out in the community so we can volunteer and we can get him a job. But know that it's lifelong. So I've heard things like from people that they're like, I had a kind of a virally video that was like, I had a friend say to me like, you're not over this yet? And she was talking to me about, I was talking about how hard it was at the time. And she's like, it's still hard. Yeah, still is. And just know that can be, kind of daunting for a parent, especially when their child's younger. I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. I don't have that anymore, but I remember when I realized that this was forever, and it scared me. And I could have really used a friend during that. And the last one, and this one is, again, really simple. Believe me. Believe me when I tell you that we're having a hard time. Believe me when I tell you this is a really amazing success. Believe me when I tell you that my marriage is struggling or I need to get Sawyer out of this house. I tell you that we can't have we can't have lamps because Cooper breaks the light bulbs. Believe me when I tell you that we're eating with headlamps because Cooper only will let us be in the dark, or he puts everything in my bathtub, or he's plugging my toilet, or he broke a mirror and didn't tell me and I found him sitting by it and it was terrifying and it scared me more than I've ever been scared in my entire life. Or he runs in the street. Believe me when I tell you it's hard. Believe me when I tell you we can't go somewhere because it's just not safe. Believe me. And that goes for grandmas and grandpas and sisters and brothers. If I tell you something, please know I'm not exaggerating. And that I need you to believe me. That's my 10. That is my 10 ways to be a good friend to a person who has a child with special needs. I mean, none of them cost money. None of them really take up much time. They're all just really simple ways to offer kindness and inclusion and acceptance, and I think are really important. Come join my supporter group if you are looking. If you are really one of those isolated people like I was, come join my supporter group. It's called Coops Troops. You'll see a button above that says become a supporter. Come join. And we see Trina's a supporter, Robin, I've been seeing lots of the names. Come join and we will help connect you with people. That's what we do. So we'll help you find someone. We'll give you a place to say, I'm scared. Crystal, come join us and try it out for a month and know it's a safe place to ask questions and, grow as a parent and figure this all out and fail and get up. Yes, Amanda, I will type this up. I will type it up this afternoon. And if you like the excerpt from my book, thank you, Martha. please grab a copy on Amazon. It means a lot to authors when you pre-order. It's a super big deal. So if you plan on getting it, just pre-order it from Amazon now. They won't charge you till it ships. So if the price drops, you actually get charged a cheaper price, which is amazing. I ordered Amy Weatherly's book and then I got like $3 back, which was kind of cool. Send this book to a friend, order it for a friend. That's another idea, or a teacher. And thanks for being here. And thank you for being supportive and wanting to learn, and know that we all go through really hard stuff in our lives and you may not know it. So I have this and we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So let's give everyone a lot of grace and kindness. That's my message. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.